Martha and Her Kite by Chelsea B. Kite waited patiently all the long, dark winter for the sun to return. Crumpled up in a tangled heap on a top shelf in the crowded, musty garage, she counted down the days till spring. While mice tiptoed across her tail, she dreamed of soaring through the sky. When sleds and shovels were taken out for snowy fun, she longed to feel the wind on her belly and warmth on her back. Just when she thought she might spend eternity covered in cobwebs, forgotten on that shelf, a hand reached up and pulled her down. The hand belonged to Martha, the young girl who had received Kite as a birthday present 2 years earlier. Martha sneezed as she brushed the dust off Kite. She ran out of the garage with both hands gripping Kite tightly. "Mom, I've got my kite. I'm ready to go to the park," Martha called. She skipped out of the garage. "All right, let's do it," Mom said. Mom loaded Florence, Martha's little sister, into the stroller and clipped a leash to their dog, Buster's, harness. Martha hopped down the sidewalk behind Mom, holding on tightly to Kite with one hand. Kite trembled with excitement as the wind brushed across her tail. The sun was shining, and the sky was a brilliant blue, but much to Kite's surprise, there were still large patches of snow covering parts of the ground. Buster stopped every couple of feet to sniff and then pee on the snow. Kite could hear the call of the red-winged blackbirds in the marsh that bordered the park. She knew it had to be spring despite the remnants of winter that had been left behind. "I can't wait until the weather warms up. I'm tired of the snow," Mom muttered as she maneuvered the stroller across an icy puddle near the entrance to the park. "Boot skating," Martha cheered as she shuffled across the same ice patch with glee. "Be careful, Martha," Mom scolded. At that exact moment, Martha slipped and fell to her knees. "I'm okay," Martha assured her mother. A shock hit Kite as the force of the fall flung her from Martha's hands. She skidded across the cool, wet ice. "My kite," Martha gasped. She popped up and Penguin waddled over to the edge of the frozen puddle, where Kite had come to a stop. Martha picked up her kite and ran toward the soggy soccer field. "Remember to stay far away from the trees," Mom warned her. "I will," Martha promised. Florence fussed to be let out of the stroller when she saw Martha speeding away. Mom loosened the stroller buckles and lifted Florence out. Little sister chased after big sister, and Buster followed behind, both barking his excitement. The trees were just starting to burst with buds. Kite could tell by the way their branches were swaying that this was going to be a great day to fly. Martha ran to the middle of the soccer field, then stopped. She let out a small amount of Kite's string, then paused to look at how much she had. "Is this enough?" Martha asked Mom. "Try it. You can let out more string once the kite is in the air," Mom said. Kite could hardly contain her excitement. In just seconds, she would be high in the sky. Martha took off running into the wind, and Kite braced for liftoff. The wind caught Kite, and she flounced for a moment before crashing nose first to the ground. Almost," Martha grumbled. "Next time, try letting out more string as soon as the kite is in the air," Mom suggested. Martha untangled Kite's string and took off running into the breeze once again. When the wind caught Kite and lifted her into the air, Martha let out more string. Kite soared higher into the sky, lifting up on each gust of air. Martha giggled and continued to run across the soccer field. Her boots squelched in the slushy grass with each step. Kite dipped and danced above her, tails trembling and body rustling with pure joy. Buster pulled Mom all over the soccer field. There were so many smells to be sniffed, and he didn't want to miss a single one. Florence stomped through the saturated field, squealing and clapping each time Martha passed by her with Kite. Kite was certain that this had to be the best day of her existence. Martha had become quite skilled at keeping her up in the air since last spring. "Here you go, Florence. Do you want to fly my kite?" Martha asked. She offered Florence the winder. Florence took it and promptly let go. A big gust of wind swept by and carried Kite away. "Oh no," Martha cried. She ran after Kite, arms outstretched, but it was no use. The winder was spinning fast, and the string unraveled, sending Kite higher and higher. "Run, Martha, run!" Mom shouted. Buster howled his encouragement. Martha ran as fast as she could, but she tripped on a patch of snow and fell in the slush. She whimpered as she watched Kite fly further and further away. Kite was scared, At first, with no one holding on to her string, she was at the mercy of the wind. What would happen to her? The higher she drifted, the more she began to relax. She was moving fast, but she was having fun. With no one controlling her, she was free to twirl, flip, dance, and dive in whatever way she wanted to. I feel alive. Kite whistled with the wind. When the gust that had carried her away ran out of steam, Kite felt herself dropping. She floated down until a pine branch reached out and grabbed her. There was nothing else to do but stay cradled in the tree until someone came to help. Kite could hear Martha shouting from across the park. "My kite, Mom, it's in a tree," Martha yelled. Kite sprawled out on the branch, her tails and string dangling in the breeze. The scent of pine sap was all around her. A few minutes later, Martha climbed up the sticky tree to fetch her. Mom, Florence, and Buster caught up while Martha was still in the tree, inspecting all the parts of Kite. "It's not broken," she exclaimed. "Good, now come back down here before you fall and get broken," Mom teased. Martha tossed Kite to the ground for Mom to catch before climbing down herself. Buster, doing what he does best, barked incessantly until Martha's feet were planted firmly on the ground. Mom handed Kite back to Martha, and they trudged through the puddles back home. Tucked in the crook of Martha's arm, Kite drooped with exhaustion, but her heart and tails fluttered with happiness. Hannah Finds a New Home by Wendy Lathrop. An early morning sunbeam shone across the grass, making the dew sparkle like tiny round rainbows. Hannah opened her golden green kitty eyes slowly and stretched her silky gray front legs out in front of her, yawning wide. Then she noticed she was alone. "Mama, where are you?" she called, looking quickly from side to side as she struggled to get her sleepy legs to stand. Last night Hannah had been playing in the meadow with her two brothers, chasing lightning bugs while Mama Cat watched the sunset. Hannah had tired and found a soft hollow under a tree to lie down. Just for a moment, she had told herself. While sleeping, she had not heard Mama Cat and her brothers calling as they searched for her. And now no one was around but a big noisy bird yelling, "Caw, caw," way above her head. Hannah tried to smooth her for the way Mama Cat had shown her so there would be one less thing to be scolded about when she found her family. "I'm sure Mama will have a lot to say about wandering off and not coming when called, and how lucky I was not to be eaten by a fox or a bear, but I will be happy to hear Mama's voice no matter how much lecturing I get," Hannah thought, heading out from her hiding place. "I can't remember how we got here," worried Hannah. "And Mama always says not to talk with strangers, so I can't ask anyone, but I should find something for breakfast first." The sparkling dew caught her attention with its pretty colors. "It's cool and wet, I can drink this," Hannah said out loud to herself, just to hear another kitty voice. She lapped up the droplets scattered around her. They were so small that it took a long time for her to stop being thirsty. "Now I'm hungry too," said Hannah. She tried nibbling grass the way she had seen deer eating in the yard behind her house. "Bleh," she said, spitting it out. Then she tried biting into an acorn like the squirrels. "Ugh, that's even worse," she said. "There must be something else I can eat." But she didn't see anything that looked even a little interesting to try. "I guess I'll be okay until I find Mama, or until she finds me," sighed Hannah, and she continued to search the meadow as the sun rose higher and higher in the sky. "But now I'm tired from so much walking in the hot sun. I'll take a nap over there by the stream, just for a moment." She found a shady spot and curled up to rest, her free gray tail over her nose. Hannah opened her eyes wide as a little boy, like the one who lived in the house with her and Mama Cat and her brothers, scooped her up from the ground. Ma, look what I found, can we keep it?" the little boy yelled. Hannah yelled too. "Put me down, I have to find my family." But the two humans didn't seem to understand her any better than the humans where she lived, or at least where she had lived until yesterday. The tall human called, "Ma," came closer. "She looks a lot like my own human mom, but her hair is a different color," thought Hannah. Ma gently stroked the back of Hannah's head with one finger. "Oh, you are a cutie. But so tiny, you must have wandered off from your mother and gotten lost," Hannah tried to say. Yes, even though she was ashamed to admit that she had not obeyed Mama Cat, but all that came out was a sad little meow. I'd love to take her home with us, but Daddy is allergic to cats, Ma said to the little boy. We'll have to take her to a shelter so they can find a good home for her. The little boy looked sad but nodded and said, Yes, I know Daddy sneezes a lot near cats, but couldn't I just keep her in my room? He turned a hopeful face to Ma, and Hannah looked at Ma too. No, it's not fair for a kitten to be locked up in one room, and you would have cat hair on you so Daddy would still be sneezing, said Ma. The little boy sadly agreed as he and Ma walked to their car. Ma buckled the boy's seat belt since his hands were still full of Hannah, who decided this would be a good time for another nap just for a moment. The car stopped moving and Hannah opened her eyes. Ma and the little boy carried her inside a big building and told a man wearing a badge that said, Roger Cox, pet keeper, how they had found the tiny gray kitten. Hannah looked up at the man and asked, Can you help me find my family? But he only smiled and didn't seem to understand. Why is it, Hannah wondered, that I can understand humans perfectly, but none of them seem to understand a word I say? Then she was carried away while the little boy and Ma waved goodbye. In a big, noisy room full of caged cats, Hannah was suddenly pushed into a metal cage that already had 2 other cats in it. Oh great, said the larger cat, arching his brown and black striped back to make himself look even bigger. Now it will be crowded in here. I'm not very big, said Hannah. I don't take up much room. Don't mind Roscoe, said the white cat, waving one of her 4 black feet toward the bigger cat. He can be such a grump. You would be grumpy too, if you had been here as long as I have, growled Roscoe. Turning to Hannah he said, Sarina only came a few weeks ago, but I've been here since the last snow. What's snow? Asked Hannah, trying to think if she had ever heard the word before. Oh, said Sarina to Roscoe. She's just a little kitten and hasn't been through a winter yet. Turning to Hannah, she said, Snow is frozen water that sometimes floats down from the sky. Maybe you'll see some when you grow up. But what is your name? You know ours. I'm Hannah, said Hannah sadly. And I've lost Mama Cat and my 2 brothers and my human family and… She started mewing sadly, unable to find the right words to say how alone and lost she felt. How will they ever find me here? She finally managed to ask. Roscoe and Sarina were both quiet, afraid to upset Hannah even more. Finally Roscoe nodded to Sarina, who lay down by Hannah's side and wrapped her fluffy tail around both of them. I'm sorry, Hannah, Sarina said softly. They might not find you here. Hannah started to wail. But… Sarina added quickly, sometimes another family comes by and decides to take us to new homes. Roscoe came around Hannah's other side and wrapped a paw over her back. There, little one. You're so cute. I'm sure you'll find a new home very soon. Hannah squeezed her eyes shut as tears began rolling down her silvery gray face, and she snuggled closer to both older cats for comfort. The pet keeper arrived a little later, although Hannah couldn't tell what time it was because there weren't any windows for her to see the color of the sky. He pushed a cart holding dishes full of dry cat food and quickly opened cage doors to shove in 1 dish for each cat, slamming the doors shut to keep anyone from escaping. Roscoe and Sarina sat up when they heard the noise, but Hannah stayed in a corner as far from the noise as she could. As 3 dishes were pushed into their cage, Roscoe called, Hannah, come have dinner. Hannah just shook her head. I'm not really hungry, she said. But they take away whatever we don't eat. And you might get hungry later, said Sarina. Hannah just turned away and put her paws over her face. Sarina and Roscoe looked at each other. Then Roscoe knocked half the food out of 1 dish, pushing the kibble into a back corner of the cage, in case she gets hungry later. He whispered to Sarina before gobbling down all his own food plus a little from the dish meant for Hannah. The lights were always on in the shelter, so when Hannah woke up some time later, she was confused. Is it still daytime? She asked. I'm hungry. Where are the food bowls? The pet keeper took them away while you were asleep, said Sarina, quickly adding as she saw Hannah's face turn even sadder. But there's some over in the corner for you. Thank you, Sarina, said Hannah gratefully as she ate. It was Roscoe who saved it for you, said Sarina. Sarina said you're a grump, but that was kind and thoughtful, said Hannah to Roscoe. She rubbed the side of her face against his to show her thanks. It's the least I could do after your terrible day, he mumbled. Sarina came over and rubbed her face against his other cheek, and soon all three cats were in a happy purring heap until they fell asleep. I'm not missing breakfast today, said Hannah when they woke up to the rumbling sound of the pet keeper rolling in the food cart. All three ate hungrily, cleaning their bowls. What do you do all day for fun? Asked Hannah, hoping for a tug-of-war with string or a ball to chase. The two older cats shook their heads. We just stay here until someone comes who might want to adopt us, said Roscoe. How about doing riddles, then? Asked Hannah. Here's one. What's the difference between a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a piece of buttered toast? That's easy, said Sarina. Only the toast is crunchy. But what if it's crunchy peanut butter instead of creamy? Asked Roscoe. Mum, you're right. I give up. What's the answer, Hannah? Asked Sarina. They both have jelly on them except the toast, left Hannah. Roscoe rolled his eyes at the bad joke, but he and Sarina couldn't help but laugh too. Suddenly they heard shrieking as a family with a small noisy girl came into the cage-lined room. Quick, Hannah, get behind us, said Roscoe, pushing her to the back of their cage. He and Sarina made themselves look as big as possible to fill the front of the cage as Roscoe continued softly. This is definitely not the right family for you, Hannah. The two larger cats growled and hissed when the girl stopped in front of them and shouted, Kitty, Kitty, while rattling the cage and poking her fingers between the wires. Upset by all her shouting, unhappy cats in other cages began howling. Finally, the girl's parents pulled her away. You are scaring them, said her father. You have to be quiet and gentle if you want a kitty, said her mother. The little girl started stamping her feet, screaming, Kitty, Kitty, Kitty. Her father picked her up and all three left. Hugh, I'm glad that's over, sighed Sarina. Does that happen often? Asked Hannah. More often than it should, replied Roscoe. It's so sad when they take a cat home with them anyway. I feel sorry for anyone living in a home like that. Hannah shivered to think that it might have happened to her. Thank you for hiding me. She kissed each of her friends on the nose, and then Sarina and Roscoe each kissed hers. They didn't notice another man and woman walk right up to their cage. Look how sweet these three are, said the woman softly. And one is just a tiny kitten. Hello, little one. Hannah looked up at the two older cats. Roscoe nodded, whispering, Look, they are holding hands. They must have lots of love to share. Hannah walked to the front of the cage and said shyly, Hello? Now the man smiled, too, and said, I sure miss having a cat living with us. And she's such a pretty silvery gray. I think we should bring her home. And I think we should call her Hannah. At this, Hannah was so surprised that all she could do was squeak. They know my name. Her two cat friends leaned against each other, knowing Hannah would be going to a good home. As the pet keeper lifted Hannah out of the cage and placed her in the woman's arms, Sarina said, I'll miss her. I will too, said Roscoe. Why, you old grump, she brought out your good heart, laughed Sarina. As she and Roscoe curled up next to each other and waved goodbye to Hannah, a family with two children came in. Oh, these two are such beautiful cats, said the girl. Look, one's a boy and one's a girl just like us, said the boy. And they are curled around each other like best friends. Hannah smiled as she watched the pet keeper lift first Roscoe and then Sarina into happy waiting arms as she was carried out by her own new human mom and dad. It was a short ride to Hannah's new home, and her new mom carried her into the house, setting Hannah down on a soft pillow in a corner of the kitchen. Hannah? Yes, that is just the right name for you, said Mom. Dad pulled two bowls out of a cabinet, filling one with water and the other with kitty kibble. It's tuna flavor, squeaked Hannah, joyfully sniffing the air. My favorite. She wasted no time jumping up onto the counter where Dad placed the bowls, her very own bowls, and crunched away while Mom and Dad took turns stroking her back. Hannah, here's your litter box, said Dad, placing her on the floor to show her the box in a corner near a broom and a mop. And now come explore your new home. Oh hey, A nice big sunny spot in the living room, purred Hannah. And wide windowsills so I can watch the birds without going outside where I could get lost again. She looked up at her new family and rubbed against their legs. Thank you for this wonderful new home. It's so nice to have a cat around the house, sighed Mom, kneeling to scratch Hannah behind the ears in just the right place. Hannah purred even more loudly, making Dad laugh. That night, Hannah followed Mom and Dad upstairs and curled up on the bed at their feet, in a happy heap of family. Journey Awaits by Jack Barber. Child peers under bed. World of magic awaits. Excitement fills heart. Door barely visible in shadows. Turns knob and steps inside. Immersed in new realm. Color. Wonders beyond imagination. Everywhere creatures scurry. Paths lined with exotic plants. Sparkle like diamonds touched by moonlight. Cautiously wander further until ancient tree. Green and alive. Full of secrets carved into trunk. Quickly climbs up through foliage thick like velvet against skin. Presence danger lurking nearby. Feeling danger. Hiding in shadows, watching. Leaping off into clearing. Sound of laughter. Sweet, inviting. Sparkles like stars on dark night sky. Creatures gathering around large fire. Warmth and safety radiating outward. Noticed figure standing beyond flames, tall. Eyes glimmering gold and silver. Mysterious smile beckoning closer. Settled in circle, enchanted by stories. Voice soothing like summer breeze, words whispered from ancient language, forgotten. Felt peace and joy. Nothing else matters. Time stopped. Lost in moment forever. Until sharp crack. Fire blazing fiercely. Out of control. Screams echoing through air. Creatures scrambling for safety. Gold and silver eyes watching with knowing gaze. Ominous eyes latch on gold and silver. Fire expands. Child terrified, tries to flee. Held in place by unknown force. Panic rising as fire closes. Intense heat singeing skin. Glances up. No help here. Eyes gone cold and distant. Closing in. Smoke obscuring vision. Flames licking flesh, searing pain. Desperate for salvation. Reached out to figure with last ounce of strength. Suddenly felt embrace like cool breeze on burning skin. Lifted away from destruction. Eyes of gold and silver shimmering. Magic swirling around figure. Warm embrace calming fear. Whispers. Come with me. Whisper as powerful as yell. But gentle. Guiding away from danger. Unknown future. Adventure awaits child. Follows without hesitation. Unfamiliar path ahead, anticipation rising. Wind whistling, carrying secrets of unknown journey. Glimpsed creatures beyond horizon, spirits dancing in moonlight. Steps quickening with every turn, heart racing faster and faster. Suddenly stopped. Wise figure blocking way forwards. Gazed into eyes, saw truth of journey ahead. Glowed with knowledge, courage, and strength. Told to remember life is adventure. Never ending. Felt power within heart swell. Ready for new challenge. Turned towards horizon. Glimpse of future. Bright and full of promise. Taking first step. Fear forgotten. Only excitement remains. Creatures alongside now guiding way forward. Appreciating beauty. Sunsets more vibrant. Onward to destination. Venturing further, discovering new wonders. Feeling stronger every step. Spirits singing in night sky. Magic filling air. Excitement growing. Destiny comes closer. Starlight illuminates path. Demon spirit looms ahead. Eyes blazing with hatred. Reaching out to consume. Summoned all courage, stepped forward. Child's face strong. Felt power surging within. Magic coursing through veins. Spirits gathering around, amplifying strength. Face of determination. Raised hand towards demon spirit. Unleashed power. Roaring like thunder. Felt victory coursing through body. Enemy dissipated to nothingness. Joyful cheers echoed from creatures in night sky. Child steps forward, uncertain spirits fade away. Wanders through desolate land, fear gripping heart. Darkness closing in like fog on cold winter night. Lost and alone, searching for way home. Voice calling from distant mountainside. Follows sound blindly into unknown wilderness. Hope burning bright inside chest. Voice calling again, echoing through darkness. Closer now with every step, hope strengthens resolve. Emerges from shadows into clearing, voice louder than ever before. Standing at edge of cliff? Emptiness. Imagination or dark omen? Again, alone on desolate road. Heard whisper on wind. Follow the stars. Looked up, sky ablaze with twinkling lights. Reached out, touched one star, felt pulse of energy. Guided by light to distant mountain peak. Found entrance hidden in shadows, opened door cautiously, stepped inside. Light glowed from within. Sparkles of energy danced. Followed deeper into chamber. Walls adorned with symbols. Glowing orbs illuminating. Stopped at threshold of throne room. Figure seated on throne. Face shrouded in shadows. Voice echoed. Welcome home. Child stepped close. Chair lifted, home appeared. Looking through from under bed. Moonlight touching floorboards. Child turned away. Must help creatures. Adventure still awaits. Ready to face challenge. Back out into world, filled with magic and mystery. Stepped forward. Desolate, unknown realm. Continued until trees broke horizon. Senses sharpened. Wind whistling through canopy. Glimpsed movement in shadows. Creatures scurrying away. Unexplained fear gripped heart. Continued bravely on. Ever forward. Mossy path winding ever closer. Eyes searching. Fog gripped foliage. Echoing laughter eerie yet inviting. Child beckoned forward. Mysterious laughter growing louder. More enticing. Path opened. Fire lit in center. Dancing shadows cast upon decaying trees. Ancient tree tall amidst circle of creatures. Branches beckoned closer. Gripped branch. Felt power surging through tree. Attempted to resist the call. Ancient energy too strong. Branches became fire. Fought against demon's will. Flames raging. Hand held firm. Fingers restraining flames. Mind engulfed by flames. No escape. Felt heat rise. Strength drained. Summoned courage, held on tight. Focused power within. Mind emptied to only points of gold and silver. Demon spirit retreated with roar. Fire draining. Child stepped forward into circle. Released branch to ground. Absence of light, now darkness formed. Growing stronger. Growing bolder. Darkness absorbed trees. Absorbed creatures. Child focuses. Foliage begins to glow. Spirits within awaken. Screams of shadow. The air softens. The path forward illuminates. Trees bow in reverence. Creatures singing. Wind caresses face, comfort and warmth. Glittering webs lay ahead, sparks alight on fingertips. Fear fades away. Child surrounded by creatures. Felt warmth. Friendship to their savior. Words failed, tears streaming down cheeks. Smiles shone brighter than stars. Whispered secrets passed between them. Felt peace that never existed before. Path winding. Creatures scurrying alongside. Glittering webs ahead, secrets of unknown realm. Fear forgotten. Friendship shared. Wind caressing face with warmth and comfort. Magic coursing through veins, power surging within soul. Longing for familiar. Aching for home. Past life fading away. Fading away with each passing day. Unfamiliar faces and places. Glimpses of unknown future ahead. Longing for what once was. Path fades away. Ahead the figure. Gold and silver grow. Gold eye becomes door. Child, stepping through. Crawls from under bed. Light of silver eye illuminates. World again at rest. The Perfect Present by Kathy Gale. That horrible white stuff isn't there anymore, but I am not sure I want to go outside. The stranger slides open the glass door, looks at me, and points at my territory, but I can't believe that it's going to be any different to the last 2 days when my stomach sank into it, and I could feel icy wet all along. I could hardly lift my legs. I look up at the stranger and refuse to move. Oh dear. The body goes in and out, and there is a lot more fur on the top of the head than on my human. Then my fears that this is a female are confirmed when she says something to my human and her voice is higher than his. I hope she isn't going to make babies with him or take him away from me. My human runs to the door on tiptoes, if he's trying to be quiet. He's not very good at it, and he's holding something I haven't seen before in front of his eyes. It's much bigger than what he usually uses to cover them, with 2 long projecting tubes. He turns something in the middle of the tubes, points at the trees at the back of my territory, says lots of things to the female human in a very quick, high-pitched voice, then strokes her shoulder and whispers to her in the special of voice he only uses for me. I wrap myself around his legs to remind him who he belongs to. He remembers me eventually, and I follow him into the kitchen. I give him my most plaintive meow, the one mixed with a little bit of purr so he knows I am hungry. I try to stand on my hind legs just long enough to smell my favorite breakfast, fish. He forgets to open the second can, and before placing my plate on the floor, he only strokes me once, as though he isn't interested. I will have to show my human how good I am. I ask to be let out, then crawl under the hedge. It's really hard to get through these days for some reason, and sniff out my private spot. When I have covered up my hole, not so much that I can't smell it next time, I go back into my own territory and wonder what I can do to make sure my human prefers me to this stranger. I need to give my human a present. The fish are darting around in the pond again. They are a lovely bright color and must be a lot fresher and tastier than my breakfast, but I still haven't worked out how to catch any of them without falling in. I look at the grass between the hedge and the pond, but I haven't seen any mice in there for ages. The only time I tried eating one, it was nearly all bones, and I choked on the fur. They are enormous fun to chase, or they used to be when I was younger, but I don't think I can risk making the same mistake as I did last time. I was very kind and carried the mouse as gently as I could so that my human could have the pleasure of killing it. I should have made it easier because when I dropped it at his feet, the creature disappeared into the corner of the room behind my human's toys. My human ran into another room and came back with the thing he uses to get grass out of the pond, leaned across and tried to squeeze it into the space, while I sat back on my haunches gathering the strength to pounce. Then suddenly, before I was ready, the mouse shot across the room and was gone. I have never seen something move so fast. It was humiliating enough to have been outwitted by something so tiny, but then my human pointed at me and spoke in a voice that for some inexplicable reason was angry. He must have been disappointed that I hadn't killed it. I stalked through the grass several times before giving up on my quest. Then I have an idea. It is a lot easier for me now that the people on the other side of my territory have replaced their fence with a flat-roofed building. I can just about manage to get up there now, if I jump on the dustbin first. When I am there, I can see what other territories have already been claimed by small humans, dogs, or other cats. It also helps me reach the upper branches of the trees. I did once manage to push and nest it to the ground, but the eggs tasted horrible. However, if I were to find an adult bird, I have climbed the tree many times. It's a great challenge to get near to a bird without shaking off the berries, but I have been practicing my paw stretch for ages. Today, I managed to get up there without breaking any of the branches. Then I noticed something, a bird I haven't seen before. It is far too busy eating the berries to notice me. It is just about big enough to make a good present. The mouse was a rather mean offering, admittedly, another reason my human may not have liked it, and just about the right size to fit between my teeth and stay there. It really is very pretty, a nice red face, with black around the eyes and the top of the head, and a yellow bit at the end of the tail. My human will be delighted. I gather my strength, pounce, and yes, it's in my mouth. As I jump down from the tree, walk along the roof and then take the final leap down, I can feel its heartbeat stop. Best of all, my human sees me coming and opens the door, so I can walk in without opening my mouth too early. Once inside, I drop my perfect present at his feet and wait for the praise. Wait for the praise. Wait